It is never too late to transition from a job you hate. I know that it may seem like a really crazy time to be transitioning from a job right now. And for some of us, it is. Some of us are fighting like hell to try to keep the jobs that we already have, right? So that's what I'm, where I'm at and what I'm trying to do. I am consistently coaching women through this time. And so if you are definitely having a difficult time, or if you really want to know more about the topic that we're going to talk about today, reach out to me so that we can see about, career coaching and executive coaching, because it's what I do every single day. With that being said, I want to hop into the topic for today because I think that it's so very fitting, because I believe that so many of us are sitting in jobs that don't serve us, that we absolutely hate. And I know a lot of reasons why women sit in jobs that they don't like. I mean, some of us have gotten super comfortable, and I totally understand it, right? Like, I've been comfortable before because, of course, sometimes finding another job is not always easy, right? But I know some of you are waking up every single day and you're literally dreading going to work. And I don't think that that's just where anybody should have to be. And I know that you have a lot of years on the job. I know that you put in blood, sweat, energy, tears, all the things, right? I know that you have done all those things, but one of the things that you're going to have to ask yourself is your health. I mean, when I say health, I mean physical, mental, emotional. Is your health worth it? Because as much as we don't want to admit, our health literally takes a physical, emotional hit when we stay on jobs that don't serve us well. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Let me just tell you a quick story about how I got here. Some of you may have seen this, right? I had an article posted of me in the Business Insider this year. The headline was like, social worker who quit her job and pivoted to become a life coach and quintupled her income. Quintupled. That article was so popular. It had thousands upon thousands of views. So much so that so many social workers were reaching out to me to, kind of ask, how did you do that? And I even held a class to share how you actually can do that for yourself. And if you're interested in that class, you can go to drkiki.com and go under the resources tab, and then you can actually get a recording of that class. The first part of that was, social worker who transitioned to become a life coach. So that's the first part, right? And that's the part that I want us to all talk about. Here's the thing. I went to school and I became a social worker because I felt like it was the best of me. It was the best skill set that I had. Now, here's the funny thing about that. My godmom, she begged me not to do social work because she was already in social work and doing that herself. She knew that ultimately I wasn't going to make no money. She knew that I was going to, probably struggle. And that's the truth about it. We working 40, 50, 60 hours a week getting paid $40,000, $50,000 a year. How can you live off that kind of money? I didn't listen. I was real hard-headed. I went on to school to get my master's in social work, and I set out to become a social worker. What do you think happened? Yep. I ain't making no money. I helped a whole bunch of people, but yes, I burned out. The work is not easy. I would see things that you would never want to see in your life. I used to work in a hospital. I used to come across babies who had been exposed and addicted to drugs. It's just not something you want to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so I found myself having a difficult time with my own mental well-being. I was just so torn apart about the things that I saw on a daily basis. And even before that job, I was in child welfare. I would be on a house visit at 10 o'clock at night. I'd be in a hospital with a child, overnight. I got my own child, but these are the things that I had to do. And so I started to think about okay, I know I spent all these years to go to school, right? Because that's what we do. We go to school, we spend all this time and we learn these skills. And then it turns out to be that this ain't the thing. You can't imagine how many women I have coached that have gone to school, spent so much money just to realize that they hate this job. So that was me. I realized that this job, this profession, this is not where I need to be for my own mental health, for my own family, for the way that I literally need to live my life. And so I had to start asking myself some questions. And this is where you're going to start. The question that you're going to start with in terms of asking yourself is there another way? Is there something else? And it just starts with this little thought And this question that you ask yourself, because a lot of times we can't get out of our way. We understand that we hate our job. We understand that this is not where we want to be, but we can't will ourselves to ask the right questions. Well, y'all, speaking to an executive career coach. And so I'm going to share with you the questions that you need to sit down and ask yourself. Is there another way for you to use your skills that you already have in order to find something else that is more suitable towards your lifestyle and it's not such a heavy toll on your emotional well-being? So I really started thinking about what that would ultimately be for me. Now, before I came up with coaching and teaching and everything, I started speaking because I felt like, okay, at least if I speak, because God has given me the gift of communication. My mama used to say, the Lord has given me the gift of gab. Well, Gab has been paying me for a whole bunch of years. And so I knew that I had this gift. And so I wanted to pour into the lives of women through speaking, which, it was beautiful. I still do. And speaking is an interesting career. I know so many of you want to be speakers out there, and I encourage that, right? I don't discourage it. But I also think that the profession of speaking is much harder than what you think it is. You got to be dedicated, committed to a whole bunch of things, but that's a whole nother topic. Anyway, I went down that road and it led me to the next thing that I love the most, which is coaching. But it only started because I started asking myself the question, is there something else? Is there another way for me to use the skills that I have in order to make money, in order to make a living? For me, it ended up being speaking, then coaching, and I also teach, which is what I'm doing here, but I also teach at Life University here in Atlanta, Georgia. But here's the thing. If you never ask yourself that question, you never allow yourself and give yourself the permission to start thinking that there could be another way. Because so often we cut ourselves off from our own future, from our own vision, because it's a scary thing, especially if you're in a job and you're not going to go entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship ain't for everybody, which is the reason why I always say, my goal is to help you figure out your God-given purpose and find the career or business that you love and make the money that you desire, right? Like I always say career business because business is not for everybody. But if you're in a job that you hate, you have to start thinking about and asking yourself, is there another way? Is there something else? And you're probably on this class right now because you know there is another way. You already know that there's something else, but you might not know what that something else is, which leads us to just this next part that you have to think. And the next thing that you have to do when you are thinking about and truly trying to switch careers or get out a job that you hate, you absolutely have to make a decision that that's what you're going to do. It may sound simple, but here's the thing. If you do not make the decision, and I mean definitive, if you do not make a definitive decision about changing jobs or finding something else, you will stay put. I promise you. Because if you can't make the decision, like if you don't say, you know what, I am doing this, I am committing to doing this, then your brain doesn't trigger on all axes to say, oh, we making a move. We busting a move, right? Like it doesn't do that. When I was a social worker, I made a decision one day that I was going to quit my job, right? I'm not telling nobody to do this. So don't tell you, Dr. Kiki told me quit my job. I ain't tell you to do that, right? But I made a decision that I thought was best for me at the time, which was to quit my job and to then start my business. Now, I'm not stupid, and neither are you. So I knew I still had to have some money coming into my household because we are a 2-income household. And so I went back to that same job as a contractor, and that worked for us. Yes, I didn't have benefits, but listen, in the background, I'm so thankful for my husband, Dr. Ramsey, because honey, he's been holding us down with the benefits for years, right? And that's what people won't tell you. The real coaches, I say real coaches, the ones who ain't got no certification, all that, won't tell you the truth about how they got where they got to. They're not going to tell you that because that's not sexy and it don't look good and it don't get you to spend your money. But see, me, a master certified coach through the International Coaching Federation, I'm going to tell you the truth. The one reason I was able to do what I could do in terms of quitting my job is because my husband was in the background who had a job, who had insurance. skills. I was able to then ask myself, okay, what skills do I have, right? Speaking, communication, all of that would translate into the next thing that could be amazing. And I knew that the communication was the key to where I could be. I also knew that I had already been helping women overcome challenges and stuff like that. And I stumbled across a thing called coaching. Let me just tell you, that thing blew my life up because I didn't really know about coaching before that. Like when I was speaking in audiences to women, a lot of women would say, oh, could you help me apply what you taught in your keynote? And I'm like, sure, girl. And so what most people think is coaching, they consider that consulting. Because I get a lot of people saying, oh, I will be an amazing coach. Everybody always come to me with their problems, and I am so good at telling people what to do. That's not coaching. Coaching is a partnership where you partner with someone to help them reach their goal, but it's not you giving them the answers, because in coaching we inherently feel like you already have the answers. It's my job as a coach to walk you through a process to help you find out the answers that's already inside of you. It's not me giving you the answers. Now I may feel like I got the answers for you because a lot of times you'll come to a coach who's been through something similar to what you're going through. So we definitely, a lot of times will have the answers, but it's not as powerful as you figure out the answers for yourself. So I found this thing called coaching, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for all my life. But not only that, I found this thing called positive psychology coaching. A positive psychologist is a person who really studies strengths, who studies happiness, who studies what goes right with you. That's what positive psychology is. Positive psychology is not just saying that we focus on the good kumbaya and we're just all so happy all the time. That's not positive psychology. Positive psychology is my ability to help you pull out where you're strong at, which is why I'm a darn good career executive coach, right? It's because I can help women really dig in to where they are strong at and what that thing should look like in terms of a career. So when I figured out positive psychology and coaching, I was like, you know what? I'm all in. How do I get in? And that's where this next piece comes in for you at. You have to first ask yourself, is there another way? Then if you feel like there's another way, you have to make a decision to move. And then this next piece is to begin really doing your research on what that move ultimately looks like for you. You have to make that decision that you're going to move. It's going to be hard. And I say that, right, because I know we think about the consequences and the outcomes of it, like how hard it's going to be, but you can't know how hard it's going to be until you actually make a move. But you have to start doing some research. I found coaching, I found positive psychology, but I had to start doing some research about like, okay, am I going to become certified or am I just going to start this business? Because that's what most of us do. If you are going to another job or you found another career field that you like, you have to figure out if you need some skills or something to actually move into that field, to that industry. You have to figure those things out. That's where this research comes into play. So I started doing a whole bunch of research around coaching. I found out that in order to be a legitimate coach, you should go get a coaching certification. But you can open up a practice and start calling yourself a coach without a certification, which is what half the population do. And so I started that way. I started not having, going to coach training school or anything like that because I was like, you know what? I really need to start this business. I feel like I know how to coach because I've been a social worker. Wrong. So as I was doing my research, I really started thinking like, man, I probably need to go to coach training school because anytime you want to do something well, you want to get some kind of education around. That's my philosophy. And so when I was doing my research, I found this school that said that you can get a master's in positive psychology coaching. Are you kidding me? Not only can you get a master's, you get your coaching certification. And so I ended up going to that program to get my master's in positive psychology coaching. Now, if you're at this place, yes, I said to you earlier, is there anything out there that I can use the skills that I already have to make the transition from a job that I hate? And then now you're saying, Dr. Kiki, you're going back to school. Listen, it take what it takes. Some of y'all already know y'all want to go back to school, but you just have been dipping and dodging and weaving and just haven't decided that you was going to do what you need to do, what you already know you need to do. And so for me, yes, I already had skills of communication, but coaching was new to me. I knew I was lacking and I went to school. So you may have to as you're doing this transition, you're going to have to find out what additional skills or tools or resources you need to bust a move, because you might need some. And let me just tell you, now is the perfect time. Now listen, what I'm not telling you to do is to quit a job, because I went to school while still working my business. So I never quit a job, and I was still working as a contractor at that other job. So I never quit a job because I needed the income for my family and for my, for my lifestyle. But I also had to stack on top of that some skills that was necessary to secure my future, to make sure that when I left this job that I hated, that I ain't have to return. Think about it. I'm already quit a job in social work that I didn't like in order to go back to that same job as a contractor. This is the same job that I hate, but you got to do what you got to do. So you may have to do something to get more resources, more education, more training, so that you can move to this next place, so that you ain't got to come back here. So ultimately, right, I was able to leave that job behind, and now I'm full blown coaching in my business. So much so that same program at Life University, I am now a professor in, because after that, I ultimately went back to school and got a PhD. Whole nother story. But I felt like that's where the Lord was taking me, because I wanted to hang my hat on this profession called coaching and positive psychology. So I went all in, completely changed my entire life. So that's how I can go from a social worker to a life coach and quintuple my income, because I also in the process started another company called the Positive Psychology Coaching and Diversity Institute, where we do diversity and leadership coaching and training organizations across the US. I have more than 20 coaches who work for me. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, there are going to be some sacrifices that you might have to make along the way. But if you do that, then you can land in a place that you absolutely love. But you have to be definitive about the decisions that you make for your life. Take a chance on yourself. I understand a lot of times why we stay in jobs that we hate, but I also believe that there's a such thing called calculated risk. I did what I took was a calculated risk. I found a way to bring in income to my household while still following my dreams. A lot of times y'all feel like y'all can't do both. And I know it's hard. I know some of us don't. We tired of the grind, honey. We getting older. We're like, when is the grind over? Not yet. It's not over yet. And so you have to do sometimes what you don't want to do to get where you want to go. That's the God's honest truth. You think I wanted to go to school? So from getting my master's in social work, I then went and got my master's in positive psychology coaching. And then from there, 4 more years, I went and got a PhD in business psychology. You think I wanted to do all that? No, I did not. But did I want to be where I am right now? Yes. Absolutely. We just bought a new home. We drive, the cars that we want. We have an amazing life. We have 3 houses, 2 rental properties. We have a great relationship. We have really good, well-rounded children. And I'm still able to do what I love every single day and help hundreds and thousands of women succeed. This is where I wanted to be. So was every bit of the crying. And let me tell you, baby, the tears was there. I feel like I cried every single day because it was just so stressful. So don't talk to me about challenges when it comes to you busting the move and overcoming this challenge from a job that you hate right now. Yes, you will have to put in some work. It'll be worth it. But I want you to be smart about it. So let's recap. If you want to transition from a job that you hate, you first have to ask yourself, is there another way? And if you say, I believe that there's another way, I just don't know it. Boom, that's good enough. The second thing you have to do, you have to definitively decide, make a decision that you are going to move. Now, I ain't say you got to put a date on it right now or anything like that. But once you definitively decide that you're going to bust a move, then you really need to start working towards that. Start doing your research. And if your research leads you to the fact that you need to ultimately turn around and do some more schooling or get another certification or get some more training, then guess what? Do that. But don't quit your job, because I'll tell you, I struggled more than I had to, because I was under the mindset that I had to quit my job and I had to be in this business full time and I had to be doing all this full time in order to make it work. That's a lie. I don't care if anybody else has told you that, that's a blatant lie, because what that does is it puts you in a very, very bad financial decision. And when you have to make decisions out of destitution, being desperate, those are different decisions decisions that you got to make. Those are survival decisions that you got to make. Those are decisions that you don't want to make. When you're trying to go towards living your dream, you also don't need to be trying to figure out how you're going to pay your rent or your mortgage and put food on the table. Who needs that? Nobody needs that. So figure out a way to start following your dream while you still got a job. And then when that thing happens, whether it's you starting your own business and that takes off and that's good, or you transition into the career that you love, then of course you quit, right? To transition into that thing. And I didn't do it that way. I quit from the very beginning. I struggled way more than I had to struggle. So I don't want the same for you. So my goal is to help you ultimately, transition, but there's a better way to do it. So you do your research, figure out your schooling, keep this over here so that you can keep a roof over your head, but do this over here. You got to do this. And then once you start to get that, then really go on, start applying for those jobs, and don't stop till you get one, because the first no don't matter. The second no don't matter. The third no don't matter. You know why? Because at the end of the day, the goal is to get something new. And so that's your job, to get something new. It's this transition into a job that you absolutely love, that you would do for free, to transition into a business that you are so passionate about and that actually will ultimately make you millions. That's the goal. So we're not going to quit. So we're going to do what we need to do in terms of getting the resources. We're going to do the research to figure out what that is. And then we're going to actually do the work to transition. So if you're still stuck in the beginning, trying to figure out like what that job or what that career would be, grab my book. It's called Get Courageous Now, A Woman's Guide to Finding Her Passions and Purpose in Life. You can get this on Amazon, and it's also on Audible. And in chapter 2, I have what I call purpose-driven and passion-driven questions. These questions have helped me guide hundreds of personal, career, and executive coaching clients through just finding their purpose in life. And so you may be stuck at that point, but I say get the book, go through the questions, and then also join Thrive Society. It's a community where I'm in on a daily basis. I'm coaching you, I'm answering your questions. We are really there to support you through this journey of really up-leveling your career and your business. And so I want you to go ahead and join. It's free to join. So join us there and let's have some conversations about what's next for you. All right. Like and subscribe to this channel. Let me know how this resonated with you in the comments, and come back to this. Once you do some of these actions, come back to this video and put in the chat what you were able to accomplish, because you know what? Your success is my success. And I am so ready to see you succeed. All right, y'all. Hopefully I'll see you at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference, which is July the 12th and 13th right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And let me just tell you, we are going to have a time, and I'm going to go in deep with you in person, personally, to help you figure out that next move for your career or for your business. Love y'all. Peace.